Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, today is the day an FDA panel will meet to consider the COVID-19 vaccine. We'll tell you the latest on what comes next in their discussion.
Another day of overwhelming case numbers in Kern County, with the announcement of more than 1,000 people diagnosed with the virus yesterday. And nationwide, the news isn't any better. The record the U.S. set yesterday coming up.
Another crisis in the classroom, not enough teachers to go around. Local districts are urgently calling for educators to join their ranks as substitutes to help make sure our youth aren't left behind by this pandemic. This is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. And good morning, 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen here in studio alongside Alex Fisher. And Alex, I noticed a little bit of a bite in the air this morning. It was definitely colder than yesterday when we came in. Yeah, it's so funny because we know that the mornings are going to be cold, but it just kind of depends on how cold it's going to be. Sometimes you need just a little bit of just a heavier jacket if you're going to be headed out the door. And I think today is going to be one of those days where you need that heavier jacket. At least I do. All right, let's turn things over to Kevin Charette, who has a look at our forecast, because Kev, Maddie and I just talked about it. Where were you noticing a difference in the air?
Well, we'll definitely be seeing our daytime highs pulling back a little bit from the mid to upper 60s we saw yesterday. So there's a little bit more of a chill in the air. I've got 35 degrees on my gauge here at my home on the west side of town, and we're a little warmer in town. I want to show you the skies right now as well. A few high clouds drifting through the area, and we'll be looking at mostly sunny skies today, and a temperature right now 40 degrees and a calm wind. As we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast for the valley, we'll start out in those lower 40s, and then throughout the day we'll be rising into the lower 60s, so a little bit of a cool off here. I want to talk about the mountains, and definitely a bite in the air there, Maddie. 27 degrees currently. No winds right now, but that is going to change this afternoon as a wind advisory is going to be put into place from 2 p.m. on, and we just got a light breeze over the grapevine at this time, but all areas of Kern County. In terms of the mountains, we'll see the winds pick up throughout the afternoon. We're also going to be looking at a fire weather watch possibly. You're going to look at that, and the wind advisory until Friday. I want to show you the hour-by-hour forecast here, and you'll see 30s by 7 a.m. and then 50s expected throughout the afternoon. I think that fire weather watch could be for a different area. I'll see if that was just added to the forecast just a few minutes ago, and I'll have more details on that coming your way in just a little bit. But with those winds picking up in the mountains, wouldn't surprise me if now we've issued another fire weather watch just because of how dry and the vegetation and how dry that is as well. So we'll send it back to you for now. I'll have an update in a few minutes.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. This morning, Kern County could see a record-breaking day as more people become infected with coronavirus. Public Health reported yesterday more than 1,000 people tested positive for COVID-19. That is the second day in a row reported cases have been above 1,000. Nearly 4,800 people have tested positive for the virus since Thanksgiving. That's more than the total number of cases in September and October combined. We also learned 6 more people in Kern have died from this virus. That brings our total to 463 lives lost since the beginning of this pandemic. And like we've mentioned for weeks, this second surge is growing. And health officials say it is happening at a faster rate than the first surge in the summer. And here's a look at our cases. The blue bars are the number of people who take a test and the results are positive. The red line is the average number of positive tests over a week. Yesterday's numbers skyrocket our daily average to 589 people testing positive every day. Our record was 600 cases a day in mid-July. If trends continue, we could surpass that record today. Now, most people recover from coronavirus, but health officials say about 1 in 10 people who are infected end up in the hospital. State data shows 229 people are in the hospital with more severe symptoms. There are 54 people in the ICU.
Kern County Latino COVID-19 Taskforce is once again helping test people for free. There's testing today at Leroy Jackson Park in Ridgecrest from 10:30 to 3 and tomorrow at the Lamont General Store. Saturday's testing will be outside the Mechanics Bank branch near the corner of Stockdale and California. Walk-ins are welcome and officials will be handing out free masks at each location.
For the first time, more than 3,000 COVID-19 related deaths were recorded across the country yesterday. That's according to an NBC News tally. The milestone comes as Johns Hopkins University reported that the U.S. surpassed 15 million coronavirus cases on Tuesday. The previous daily record was on December 3rd with just over 2,800 deaths and a record of 219,000 COVID-19 cases in a single day. Yesterday's number of cases came in just under 190,000. More than 290,000 lives have been lost to this virus across the U.S. since the beginning of the pandemic this spring. In the past week, the U.S. has averaged over 205,000 cases per day and 2,200 deaths every single day. That is up drastically from just a month ago. And we learned yesterday a child died this week from the coronavirus-linked multi-system inflammatory syndrome known as MIS-C, the first such reported death in Los Angeles County. The patient, who was at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, had a complex pre-existing cardiac condition and died from complications tied to MIS-C. At least 145 cases of MIS-C have been reported among children in California, according to the state's Department of Public Health. The LA County death appears to be the first in California, although no deaths linked to the illness have been recorded on the state's database.
Health experts are warning of a triple threat to Kern County residents as fears over valley fever and the seasonal flu loom over a region already hit hard by coronavirus. The top doctor at Kern Medical's Valley Fever Institute, Dr. Royce Johnson, is holding a news conference next week to discuss newly released figures for valley fever released by the state health department. Last week, the California Department of Public Health announced more than 9,000 people across the state contracted valley fever last year, the largest increase in cases since they started tracking the disease in 1995. Kern County is one of the hot spots, along with most of the Central Valley. Next week's conference is expected to go over those numbers in depth and precautions to take in midst of the pandemic. 5:08, and this morning we now know the reason why thousands were left in the dark during a massive power outage in Bakersfield. At one point, PG&E says 17,000 homes and businesses experienced the blackout.
What we have found in working in conjunction with the personnel from PG&E on site is that there's a small fire in a very large breaker. And so right now, the facility personnel and the hazmat team are working to assess the situation to ensure that the power to that breaker is out so they can continue to get closer and extinguish that fire.
Many parts of town saw their power take a hit. The outage affected people mainly in the northwest and southwest areas. Power was fully restored around 7:45 last night. And as coronavirus cases continue to surge, Kern County schools are having to get creative to find qualified substitutes to cover teacher absences. 17's Taylor Schaub takes a look at how the shortage of subs is impacting kids in the classroom. Taylor?
Well, good morning, Maddie. We all know that substitutes are an important yet often overlooked component of the education system, and now more than ever, they're vital to running a classroom. From filling temporary assignments to extended absences, substitute teachers have long been an essential part of the education system. And in a time when teachers can get sick and miss 2 weeks without notice, schools are struggling to replace them.
We do have moments where we just simply are not able to find a sub to fill a position.
Matt Diggle says the Bakersfield City School District had already been facing severe sub shortages before the pandemic.
That shortage, it's been really exacerbated this year, with individuals that have contracted COVID. Every district is in the exact same position.
In some cases, situations have become so desperate that other instructors and office staff are asked to fill in. That in turn forces teachers to give up valuable planning periods and places more strain on children already struggling with distance learning.
There's always a person to serve kids. The challenge is that when some of our individuals that are in specific roles on sites are taken away from those roles, then there's an impact overall to the functioning of the school and the quality of the overall system for our kids.
In response to the shortage, Fairfax School District is employing a unique approach, hiring full-time roaming subs.
Our district went out a little proactively and intentionally hired a number of teachers that had no class.
Superintendent Michael Coleman says the added staff members have been crucial in keeping continuity in the classroom.
There's not been a day with when one of our extra teachers, so to speak, hasn't been used.
Still, larger districts like BCSD need help, putting out a call for qualified candidates to join their pool of substitutes.
We've had constant recruiting efforts to recruit qualified individuals, talented individuals to bring into our classrooms.
If you think you've met the qualifications to become a substitute teacher and you're interested in doing so, you can learn more on bcsd.com. In Southwest Bakersfield, Taylor Schaub, 17 News.
Back now in your 17 Court Watch, with a hearing postponed until next year for the man accused of raping and murdering 13-year-old Patricia Alatorre. 24-year-old Armando Cruz was scheduled to appear in court yesterday, but a judge postponed the hearing to February 17th. Cruz is accused of raping and killing the teenager over the summer after driving to Kern County from Southern California. He has pleaded not guilty to his charges and faces the death penalty if convicted.
The team of attorneys representing Monsignor Craig Harrison, the Bakersfield priest placed on administrative leave last year over unresolved allegations of sexual impropriety, discussed their client's standoff with the Catholic Diocese of Fresno at a press conference yesterday in Bakersfield. 17's Robert Price has the story.
Attorneys for Monsignor Craig Harrison agree Monsignor Harrison still is waiting for his day in court.
Harrison has in many ways been more than just the face of Catholicism in Bakersfield. To many, he's been the face of clerical compassion, too, presiding over religious and secular events alike, both public and private, for decades. So in April 2019, when the Diocese of Fresno, which oversees Kern County Catholicism, announced it was looking into allegations of sexual impropriety involving the popular, well-loved priest, it shocked not just parishioners at St. Francis of Assisi Church in downtown Bakersfield, but non-Catholics as well. And it divided the city. But the investigation grew into a standoff after Fresno Bishop Joseph Brennan went on a San Francisco public radio station and discussed the charges against the Bakersfield priest. Harrison responded by filing a defamation suit against the diocese, which for the past several months has been demanding that Harrison not only refrain from even the appearance of performing priestly duties, but that he withdraw the legal complaint as well. Harrison has refused to do so, and his attorneys reiterated as much Wednesday. This is Bakersfield attorney Craig Edmonston.
What was the diocese's response? The threatening letters that Mr. Humphrey and Mr. Sala just referred to. Drop your lawsuit, Monsignor Craig, that was based on our defamatory statements that were broadcast nationwide. Drop your lawsuit or we're going to punish you within the church. That's what this legal case is about.
And now, months after the suit was filed, the situation appears to be coming to a head. An exchange of letters between the diocese and Harrison's legal team, virtually the only mode of communication between the sides for months now, has the diocese declaring that its deadline for Harrison to withdraw his suit has passed, and Harrison must now face a penalty. But what that penalty might be remains to be seen. Is it suspension? Is it lay castration, which is one's official removal from the clergy? Or is it excommunication? Complete separation from the Catholic Church. That's what Harrison attorney Kyle Humphrey would like to know.
It is unfortunate that the retaliation and the threats and what we believe to be imminent punishment, unjust punishment from the bishop is happening.
Efforts to get comment from the Diocese of Fresno on Wednesday were not successful. On Tuesday, though, the diocese, through Chancellor Cheryl Sarkeesian, called the matter a confidential church issue between the bishop and one of his priests. Harrison, through his attorneys, has continued to express his innocence. And now we wait.
Will Monsignor Craig Harrison ever return as a priest? It looks doubtful. That's the word that we're hearing from his attorneys. In downtown Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
Now to your 17 Crime Watch, as the Kern County Sheriff's Office served a search warrant last night for a suspected illegal casino in East Bakersfield. Deputies from the Special Investigations Unit went into the business in the 1400 block of Niles Street just after 9 p.m. It wasn't immediately known what was seized or if anyone was detained or arrested from the suspected illegal casino.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back. For many Americans, this holiday season will be anything but merry and bright. With the pandemic putting millions of people out of work, more and more are unable to pay for their homes or put food on the table. The nation's charities are struggling to keep up with demand. NBC's Chris Pallone has the story.
Even in a pandemic, their bell ringers are out there. The Salvation Army's mission as important as it's ever been as the economic toll of the pandemic reaches new depths.
The Salvation Army has seen a tsunami of human needs since the middle of March.
The charity has seen a 155% increase in people it serves, while anticipating donations to its holiday Red Kettle Drive will be cut in half. They're hopeful people who can help out will give online and give of their time as well.
We're inviting people to go and to volunteer at their local Salvation Army, to perhaps take a few more decorations off of our angel trees, to provide presents for children.
Faced with unique challenges, charities are doing everything they can to make it safe and easy for people to give.
We've partnered with nonprofit organizations for over 20 years.
People who use Coinstar donated $125 million to charity in change in that time.
All the consumer needs to do is walk up to the machine, select the charitable program that they're interested in donating to, and pour their change into the machine.
And in a year which has seen issues of race and inequality brought to the forefront, the company has added the NAACP to its list of charity partners.
Certainly, it's a tremendous gesture by a tremendous partner.
Donations support the NAACP's many missions, from encouraging children's love of learning through academic competitions to fostering economic empowerment by supporting small business creation. And it turns out all that change adds up.
Any small currency that you're able to give in this holiday season is going to help us.
Truly, every little bit can make a big difference. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
All eyes are on the FDA as an advisory panel meets today to consider approving Pfizer's COVID vaccine. Tracy Potts has the story, plus President Trump's latest election challenge at the U.S. Supreme Court.
The U.S. has hit a new record. 3,000 people died in a day from COVID-19.
Over 8,000 people who were beloved members of their families are not coming back.
Today, an FDA panel will recommend whether to approve America's first vaccine. Pfizer's Michigan plant ready to ship thousands of doses to more than 600 sites nationwide.
This very small but very powerful chip is on every vaccine package, and it tells us GPS exact location.
There are new concerns about the vaccine after 2 British workers suffered an allergic reaction.
It likely is an unusual and rare effect.
Health officials insist it's safe and there will be enough for everyone.
We will have enough doses for any American who wants a vaccine by the end of the second quarter of 2021.
President Trump's focus, a new election challenge, joining 17 states asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn election results and throw out votes in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
It's simply mad.
I've never seen anything quite like this before.
Legal experts are skeptical.
This case is hopeless.
On Capitol Hill, finger pointing continues.
Political posturing and press releases from one side or the other won't put food on the table.
This need not be rocket science.
Lawmakers still working on a deal to prevent millions from losing unemployment and being evicted over the holidays.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.